Have you ever noticed how the fear of starting over keep us in places where respect has long since disappeared? It's not that you're happy or satisfied or even at peace, but then you say that you still love someone, that it will get better, that every relationship has bad phases, and you convince yourself that staying is better than trying again from scratch. But let me ask you something very simple. How many times has this actually improved? Let's be real. Being afraid to start over is one of the worst forms of self-sabotage, because what you're calling love is often emotional attachment, comfort zone, fear of loneliness, or that famous unemotional dependency cyst as a long-term relationship. Meanwhile, you're diminishing yourself, swallowing frogs, turning off your light, settling for emotional crumbs because someone back there convinced you that that's just how it is, or that nobody's perfect. But deep down, you're exhausted from being in this place, and you know what's worse? All this fear of starting over is fueled by a false idea that no one else will want you, or that starting from scratch is too difficult. As I fear peace was worth less than a history of accumulated DRS and disappointments. Do you really want to continue living a story that is already over just because it's starting over hard work? Think about it. Is it really courage, or is it get used to little? If you've ever been afraid to start over, what exactly did you gain from it? Stay with me until the end, because maybe now is the time when you understand that the fear of starting over should never be worth more than the right to be happy. Being afraid to start over is like insisting on drinking water from a dry well just because you are too lazy to walk to another one. And the worst part, there's nothing left there, but you keep trying to get rid of what's been gone for a long time, thinking that persistence is synonymous with love. You're not in love. You're surviving emotionally. You are using beautiful words to cover up an ugly truth. Fear has taken over you, doll. How many times have you thought about leaving? How many conversations have you had with yourself, trying to convince yourself that it wasn't that bad? And how many times have you cried alone, pretending that everything was okay? And do you know what this is called? Attachment, dependence, emotional addiction. We cling to routine, to what is known, to that old idea that giving up everything is failure. But do you want to know what failure really means? It's about putting yourself aside every day just to keep a relationship. Running on autopilot. It's putting your emotional health on the shelf in the name of a relationship that only exists in your memory. You are no longer with a person. You are with the idea you created of them. It's with the memories of the beginning, with the promises that were never fulfilled, with the plans that died in the intention. And that's cruel, because you fall in love with the potential, not the reality. Then you start negotiating your own pain. But at least he doesn't hit me. She cheated on me, but it was only once. At least he's coming home. What do you mean by at least? Since when did staying at the minimum become enough? You're convincing yourself that you deserve crumbs just because the emotional feast seems too difficult to achieve. And then comes the painful question: how long will you settle for less than you deserve? You look in the mirror and don't even recognize yourself anymore. The person who once dreamed big is now afraid to get up. You've come to measure love by the number of apologies you can accept, and that's dangerous. Because one day when you try to leave, you might not even have the strength left. Let's talk about practical things. You avoid talking to friends, so you don't hear what you already know. You live with that tightness in your chest, hoping that today won't be another one of those tense days. Sleep with your cell phone under your pillow, afraid of strange messages, accepts lukewarm excuses because he's going through a difficult time. Do you know what all this has in common? Fear. Such a great fear of starting over that you'd rather keep patching up what can't be fixed. You start to convince yourself that every relationship is like this, that everyone goes through this. And this becomes a mental prison. You no longer see a way out because you are surrounded by your own justifications. But I'll tell you one thing, with all the love in the world, it's not love if it drains you. It's not care if it diminishes you. It's not the future if it holds you back. You don't have to stay. Where you are no longer welcome, you don't have to explain the basics 1,000 times to someone who says they love you. You don't have to beg for reciprocity. True love doesn't come with daily struggle. And here is a truth that hurts. But freeze. If you need to ask for respect, this place is no longer for you. How many times have you thought, but what if I break up and regret it? It's okay to be afraid. But it's even more dangerous to stay in a place that paralyzes you, because every day you remain in fear is one less day of peace, self-esteem, and the chance to experience something new. Yes, new. Because there is life after the end. But to get there, you need to have the courage to leave the place where your soul no longer lives. And I know it's not easy, but it's necessary. And if you've come this far, maybe deep down you already know. Staying out of fear of starting over was never a choice. It was an escape. Have you ever experienced this? Have you ever stayed too long in something that only hurt you? Comment below. Tell us your story, because when you speak, you free. And maybe your experience will save someone who hasn't yet had the strength to leave. You're not alone. There are many people living this exact silent battle, but at some point, you have to choose yourself. Now take a deep breath and imagine. What if you had left that first time you thought about leaving? How would your life be today? How would your peace be? Your self-esteem? Your freedom? Starting over is not wasting time. It is stopping wasting time on things that don't take you forward. Those who are afraid to start over are stuck in the same place emotionally while the world moves on. Did you know that when we finally take a stand, something changes inside us? It's like a switch flips. Suddenly, you stop asking for crumbs and start to understand the value of an emotional feast. Not because someone offered it, but because you stopped accepting the bare minimum. Yes, starting over is scary. But what's really scary is living a life that isn't yours. Just because you were afraid to try something new. No, you won't find everything ready outside. There will be difficult days, of course. But at least you will wake up with a clear conscience, a light heart, and a chest full of possibilities. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is deciding that fear no longer controls you. And if this video has made sense to you so far, it's because maybe it's time to start over, not tomorrow, but now. If this message resonated with you, subscribe to the channel. Here we don't romanticize suffering, we speak truths that awaken. Because sometimes, all you need is someone to tell you what you already feel, but don't have. The courage to admit. Every week, there is a new video to remind you of your value, take you out of automatic mode, and give you that push that no one else can give. And I guarantee you, the next time the fear of starting over stops you, this conversation will echo in your head.